They sold the loans to a bunch of foreigners, Malcolm answered. Let the guardian figure it out. The two monsters stopped in the front of them. The first stepped forward, crossing his arms, hard his chest. Kamare Kanayaro, Kiro Kanayaro. Malcolm could see the tattoos right off the man's forearms, but he was concerned with the second man who was holding back. Man with sunglasses and puggish face who was staring at Malcolm through those glasses memorized his counts. Malcolm felt the sweat rise his back. Carrie, yeah, I think we go now. Malcolm grabbed his arm and pulled his back out of the doorway. The Yakuza slammed the door shut behind him. There was a burst of laughter inside. Malcolm sprang back to their bikes. A few blocks away, they pulled over to the curb and removed their helmets. Now Malcolm understood why Carrie had been such a mess over a few months. Why don't the police do anything? He asked. A couple of reasons. There are strange squatting laws here. You can't forcibly eject these guys, and the Yakuza isn't like mob in the United States. They're in every level of finance and politics. You've got the Yakuza investments propping some of the biggest banks in corporation in the country, and Yakuza interests reach all the way to the top of the garden. I've done some research over the past few months in terms that this has happened to a lot of American firms. The Japanese are selling the loans they can't collect in a huge discount, but the Americans who buy them find they aren't worth the paper they are printed on, because Yakuza is over of them. Malcolm's fingers were white against his helmet. He was trembling all over. He could still see the butterfly knife flashing the light from the trash can bonfire. Also, he had been in plenty of fights and of football field. He'd never seen been straight like that before. This wasn't finance was supposed to be about. He and the Carrie were traders, not gangsters. Carrie had bought unpaid loans from one of the biggest banks in Japan. This wasn't a drug deal, it was a banking decision. This is ludicrous. This is Japan, Carrie said. He yanked his helmet back over his head and twisted the throttle of his motorcycle. The engine roared through the darkness. Malcolm put down his own helmet back on the melting leather, fiberglass, and sweat. He felt bad for Carrie because no doubt Carney was going to be pretty pissed off if he couldn't turn a profit on those loans, but that was only one concert. He closed his eyes. He could still see the two Yakuza gangsters in their flowered shirts. He thought about Saya had been saying him once he saw his Hong Kong trip. This wasn't United States, this wasn't Wall Street. Malcolm pictured out that Yakuza mobster with those tattoos and sunglasses and piggish face staring at him, memorizing him. This wasn't New York, this was Tokyo. He shivered, then twisted throat at his bike and headed home. The glowing digital numbers read 5 a.m. and that couldn't be possibly right. If were 5 a.m., Malcolm should have been flat on his back next to Saya, the warm curves of his skin and nestled against his chest. He should have been dreaming about football or the Nikkei or even the New Jersey. He would be recovering from the late night spent studying Indonesian markets, analyzing how the fluctuating markets were going to affect the Osaka exchange. Instead, he was sitting straight up in his phaeton, eyes wide open, and staring at the block of the set top of his brand new TV. 5 a.m. and he was awake. Then he fired the phone. Репетитор по скайпу, Smart Teacher 197.